Good morning, everybody. So markets, depending on which market you look at, that is, are up. Well, they're up, but vast differences in how they look on the charts, which leads to observing relative strength and relative weakness, some call sector rotation, which has been going on for some time. And we see that the small caps here are advancing and pushing up to what I believe is all-time highs. Yeah, up there at all-time highs, heading toward the next whole number of 1900. And so this consolidation, which wasn't much of one, has broken out above the highs there. And there's nothing to stop them from going up. So you just follow along. And the momentum is stalled here this morning. We'll see if that results in a break of this hourly trend. You can see here where it started and continued. And now you can see the pivot high, and here. And I guess once this bar is done, which has still got time to go, it's going to mark this as a pivot high. The only reason it wouldn't do that is if this bar was to take out that high, which, it's still got almost an hour to go. So I guess it is possible. But once it has three lower highs, it'll mark this as a pivot high. And as you can see, the distance here between the highs is narrowing, which tells us that momentum is slowing down. Then the question is, it's still in an uptrend. And to violate the uptrend would have to break down below this pivot low. So that's something that we'll be watching to see if that occurs in the Russell, since this is the market that is leading right now. On the other hand, there's a huge difference in what's going on here in the NASDAQ 100, which was leading and now just continuing to consolidate. So what we will be looking for going into the holiday, which is, like I mentioned, historically a bullish time, but this has just been kind of treading water, doing nothing. But if the market is going to stay bullish, and this is neutral, this should play catch up. So while the NASDAQ, the Russell may continue, even though momentum is slowing, this doesn't look like much of anything yet. But this is where we need to keep an eye on to see if this can play catch up and push up toward the old highs, or maybe make new all-time highs. So waiting to see here so far, these overlapping bars with tails just say that isn't much interest. There's uncertainty there. It whips up and down. And so for the moment, stay away. We'll see how it unfolds. Looking at the S&Ps, you see it's still within a range. So the Russell is going it alone here, those small caps. And so now as this comes up to this high, obviously it's not a place that we want to be entering, but that might be a last gasp here to the upside, up into that resistance area where there will be sellers. It wouldn't be much of a surprise to see if it could poke through it. It usually does, poke through it. And as I kind of eyeball this as a potential measured move, the initial move in the consolidation, that would put it, again, eyeballing it somewhere up in that area. So that's what I'll be looking for here to see if it can clear that and again, play some catch up going into the holiday. Weekly sideways, and we'll wait. Very selective market here. Now the Dow is already up there. So we've got these pretty vast differences between markets where the Russell is pushing up all-time highs, the Dow coming up, bringing up the rear there, already at resistance. Maybe it can get a little further. And hey, if the S&Ps kick it in, maybe it gives another attempt to push up to 30,000, which where it's been getting rejected from each time. So right now it's stalling as to what's to the left there. You can see the topping tails that are occurring right now, but so far it's just holding, bottoming tail here, topping tail there, uncertainty. That's what that communicates after a move up into resistance. So, normal type of price action after a move to resistance. And we looked at the S&Ps. Similar pattern, which has been the case for a while between the Dow and the S&P. But maybe it's some room to run. So as I look at these, the Dow isn't the place to go. If you're going to see some additional strength here this morning, this has got room to go up. So the S&P would be my choice for a long as it holds within this level and then begins to break higher. And bonds are down here a little bit, but no big deal. It's up in, coming up into resistance. We know where the weekly is. We've been talking about this for a while. It's trying to bottom out here. So this is the process of making a low, coming up to resistance, probably chopping around here to see if it can make the turn or whether it's got to retest this. Wait and see. And crude oil. I'm trying to perk up here. Let's look at this continuous contract, which is going to have, okay, well, that's gold. Continuing to have weakness there. Interesting. Where's that continuous contract? Here it is. All right, so let's forget about that. And so crude oil is pushing up, which is for a change, right? The oil sector stocks have been doing really well as that money is rotated into that. Over the last year or so, while oil has rallied, that really hasn't helped the oil sector stocks at all. But this time it is. And XLE, different stocks that are in that sector, but you can see yesterday continued to show strength after a very minor corrective price action just popping up again. So buyers are coming in aggressively. They're not getting in on any pullbacks. And so we'll just see where that goes. It's cleared the 200. This could be a good sector actually going into next year, because this is really just the beginning of a move after a very long-term decline in a sector that was gone on for years and now making a bottoming process there. So, this may be one of the winners next year. We'll see, as well as the other giant loser, which has been marijuana, which is trying to make a bottom. You can see on the weekly chart, the gap reversal and the chopping around here. So another attempt. It's had many attempts to try and make the turn. Some that look quite convincing and then just failed again. Maybe 2021 will be the year for this to bring up the rear. And gold we looked at. So now the weekly breaking down, and as I mentioned yesterday, it would need to have an immediate reversal. That didn't happen yesterday. It actually continued to the downside. And so now that it's at the 200 MA, which is in alignment with this congestion, we'll see if buyers have any interest in this now, which have been terribly disappointed with this failure to get turned around. Silver holding up a bit better, not breaking down. So we, as always, we just continue to keep an eye on these markets to see when they, can make a turn, because the higher time frames, as you can see, are still bullish. There's a big blast off, out of a multi-year consolidation. So at some point, I'm assuming based on the higher time frame that this is going to get into alignment where the smaller time frames come into alignment with this, where this holds at this point, or maybe a little bit lower like gold, and then begins to turn around. Going back to gold, You say the monthly, not a big deal, right? Kind of whippy, but at some point, this has to start to improve. And this is how we use multiple time frames and say, well, this tells us that at some point buyers are going to step up again because of this strong uptrend. Then we wait for the smaller time frame to form a pattern in alignment with that bias. Clearly, we don't have that now. The attempts to do it have failed. So it's going to have to wait and see how that shapes up. And our transports is holding up here. New highs. Let's see. Unfortunately, we don't get any data on these pre-market to see what's going on. The internals are worse now, Mark. And that is what we have to be concerned with, because, and this is always the way, where the internals always lead and tell us to be careful. And we see various stocks that will do their own thing in certain markets, like the Russell is. And, you look at the NASDAQ 100, which is led, and it's doing nothing, and different stocks like Amazon and so on that are doing nothing. And, those pieces of information give us a warning. So if we participate in what's showing relative strength, we just have to be objective by saying, look, we know risk is rising here, but for the moment, these stocks that are on fire, and some of them going vertical straight up with no type of continuation pattern, which is going to be the subject of our MT Live today, no type of continuation patterns on the daily time frame. So unless you were in front of the screen and focused on these stocks intraday, you missed the train, so to speak. And that is another form of discipline. You have to have that bias to want to focus on that particular sector of stocks and ignore everything else. But our market internal gauges continue to tell us, keep an eye on that exit door. So while it could push higher, especially, if the spiders and Qs actually got out of their own way and were able to push up a little bit, this would just get even more bearish. So we've already got the warning shot. Now we need to take that into consideration and trade accordingly. Yeah, it's not today. I'm sorry if I said it was today. It is on Wednesday, and you guys are in the green room. You're going to get the link. I always give it to YouTube. I gave it to yesterday. I didn't pull it up here today. So be selective and nimble, as I say, as to the exit doors when it comes, and it will. And when that period of seasonality where the markets tend to act bullishly for Thanksgiving, and then while the market has been rallying for a while, will it continue into Christmas? So we'll see. All yours, Dan.
All right, good morning. As I'm getting ready here, I got to tell you this story. Do you remember in the green room into the close yesterday, I was talking about hot sectors and the media playing a story and people thinking that they're heroes, and they go to the local bar and they're like, yep, I'm in electric vehicles. Guess what? I went to the local bar yesterday, ordered my beer, and the manager there, Joe, who is a good friend of mine, he starts celebrating. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, what's up? I swear I thought he won the lottery. The way he was all happy. And he says, oh, I bought NEO yesterday and it's up after market another $2. And I'm like, oh, good for you. Secondly, I have gotten the most amount of emails in the last 12 hours asking about getting into EV stocks. Subscribers. Hey, Dan, I want to get into NEO. I want to get into Solo. I want to get into AYRO. What do you think? So the point I'm making is I am feeling the contrarian, bearish sentiment of greed in the sector. We were in REO down here. I forget if we did the wide range ignite. Yeah, we got in here, folks. And you know what, McGraw? You know, I make fun of you all the time. This one came from you, McGraw. And it was extended intraday. Do you remember this story, McGraw? Somebody in the green room asked me, hey, Dan, why are you not waiting for a pullback? I said, because it's an igniting breakout in a strong sector, and I don't think it will pull back. So share size it, all right, whatever it was. No, it was, we got in, we sold way too early. So I totally kicked myself for that. But whatever the numbers, the point I'm making is you have to get in when the bartenders and the customers and the cab drivers are not high-fiving after 400% rises. That's when I'm looking to get off the train. So anyway, that's a very important story. You know why? Because it happens over and over and over again in hot sectors. Example number 2. Do you think that identical story I just gave you happened in the marijuana environment, whenever the heck this was, mid-18? I guarantee you everybody was high-fiving about being in the marijuana sector. Where do you hear those people high-fiving now at the local pub? No, they're on to the next toy, which has been Bitcoin. And I wish they had, it's been solar stocks. But that's actually what makes trading, interesting. Not only we get things that come in vogue like that, but we have the skills to trade them intelligently. But we also know how to interpret these contrarian little things. So I told McGraw, I want to focus on the marijuana sector here today. I don't know what's up, but some of the individual stocks have been, they're gapping up pretty big here. So we'll go through those. It's already given it up. Look at Tilray Dog. It's already $1 off the pre-market high. And we've had so many false starts in these. So we got to be careful, but it's worthy of scanning. Look, here's the sector, MJ, maybe 30-minute high. That would be worth it. Yeah, no, Gustavo, I totally remember you and I had lunch and you wanted that as a core long. Yep, I give you credit for that. And I think my only response was, fine, where's your stop? Because you're getting on board a moving train. But if you had those same fundamentals in your head today as you did 3 months ago, I actually was working on some of these stocks for some final slides for tomorrow. You didn't, your story of a core trade, you must have had it 3 months ago. So, I wish you bought this breakout as a core long on 825 or 929 or 1014 or, you know what I'm saying, but look at these moving averages. The more they're getting 20 above the 50, above the 200, that's a visual, even if you took the candlesticks off. Let me ask you this, Gustav. Let me ask everybody. Remember, we had a beautiful MT live on moving averages. Let me ask everybody this question, just a moving average question, real quick, and we'll move on. All our opens are fine. I got nothing to talk about. So cost up a little bit. We have a call spread. NVIDIA up a little bit, call spread, but those are fine. I think the overnight decay. Yes, snow. We just got to take our stop. If it hits, it's not gapping over the stop. But on these call spreads, I think they aren't gapping up much, at least relative to the overall market gap. And so I think we'll still be net profitable on the overnight gap risk, just because of time decay. All right. So anyway, real quick, because we did this on that MT Live, if I were to take off the candlesticks on this, could you make an intelligent core long entry? Answer, absolutely. I mean, look at all these flat MA. No, I totally disagree with that. Look at these moving averages. Look at these moving averages for many months. The 200's flat, the 50's flat, and the 20 now is starting to curl up. Core long or swing long, I won't even say it. But the moving averages are confirming that bullish price action in June. Would I now, second question, if I gave you these moving averages, who wants to go core long using these moving averages? Take the candlesticks off. If you understand what we teach, the answer is you're out of your mind. That ain't a core. I mean, I'd be looking to be trailing and sell my core on a picture like this. All right, so enough of all that, but I hope all my rambling was pertinent. It wasn't just rambling. It was hopefully very informative. All right, Boeing here. This has been one I think is a long-term bottom. Very, very sloppy, making an entry to get on board very difficult. The Dow's up the most, Boeing's up the most, so I think that's the biggest contributor today. I see CAT up 2 and change. CAT looks great. Look at that, breaking out. I was going to give Deere as a long over the high, but I noticed that it has earnings tomorrow. But Deere over yesterday's high looks great. But back to Boeing. SPR, a supplier. I've been trying to get us into this as a core. And it's just not a no-brainer entry. I did get us into a bunch of these oil stocks. So I think it's same kind of difficulty. But you know, we have 6 bullish oil positions. So that, that's one consolation. Nathan Disney. 30-minute high maybe. Had a breakout bar. I see it gapping up, going sideways. Diamonds, 299. They're gapping to resistance with a big gap. It's not ideal, folks, to get long right here. Gustavo, do you remember I told you IWM to the skilled technician? That was a very bullish day yesterday. We went through it for like 5 minutes. We discussed the bullishness of that. All right. LRCX, Mark's looking at a put spread for Friday. Yeah, let me check the strike, 432. I can see 432 is yesterday's pre-market low. Yeah, I like that, Mark. Yeah, I like that. SMHs look great. Yeah, let me put both of these, SMH and LRCX. But look at our NVIDIA. Look, NVIDIA's flat, pretty much. Up $1 on a $500 stock is flat. So not only is NVIDIA, it's been on a tear, but come on, folks. I mean, the marathon runner, give him a break. Give him a break. He's run from 135 to 600. Don't you think he needs a break? That's a climactic sell setup with topping tails. If this were a core long, I would be getting the heck out of Dodge myself. So we got relative weakness. to the SMHs, and we got relative weakness to today's gap up. All right, let me continue. All right, so Aurora has been one of these vertical ones, but look, it's gapping down today. So I think very soon, whether it's today, tomorrow, Friday, half day, that we're going to get some beautiful day trade shorts in this sector. Look at this one, Ballard, 20 bucks. Look, gap into the low range of yesterday's bar. That's a nasty gap right there. So InBev, here's a marijuana stock. This was a 1, 2, 3. That was viable yesterday, actually. Now gapping up, coming in. So it might be marijuana. It could be false breakout number 96. I mean, that's been a tough sector. All right, Intex, I got no pattern, gapping up. Yeah, no, I'd love to sell call spreads, McGraw. You've got that exactly right. But provided they're weeklies, I don't want to go out monthlies in those. MSP recent IPO, I got no pattern, but you know, buyers stepped up here at the IPO low. AMBA had earnings, gapping up, 71 bucks. There's no pattern. GSM, the rocket ship. Today's Tuesday, so the rocket ship on this was last Friday. Net, Khaled, net. Let's see, maybe Khaled, maybe 30-minute high. I wouldn't be in a rush because of Friday's topping tail, and it's just range bound on the hourly. Yeah, Riot we got into yesterday. The ideal spot would have been in this bar last week, but it had 3-bar consolidation. So we did give this as a core long, and also I shorted puts. I personally did some Fridays, and I also did some Decembers. And Knox. Yeah, this was a trade we got into yesterday, and I give you all credit. I forget who gave it to us, but look, here's another example of the wide range bar story I told you about earlier. When this thing was moving yesterday, I said yes, I like it. We immediately sold an out of the money put, and I think, I don't know if any of you were day trading it, but we sold, folks. I mean, the premiums on these things are. Hey, Greg, you remember that guy who used to work for us, Marvin? He used to. His famous line was that's off the hook. So that's what I just thought of. The premiums on NNOX were off the hook. Let me show you what we did yesterday. Same with that SPI. Do you remember we were in that, folks? Look, we sold the $20 puts. Look, 20, way the heck down here. We sold the $20 puts for 50 cents. But yeah, I mean, yesterday was the entry. Yeah. All right, just glancing at our opens. Google, we did not get into the call spread. I see that down a little bit. 1,500 on the tick, so another kind of euphoric here. Dollar Tree, big gap on earnings. Dave, I don't know what to do with it. I mean, what are you thinking? Because for me, I got no idea. I mean, I don't even look at it. I do look at percents, but I don't even look at. Okay, all right. So I didn't know what you were thinking. But if you look at all this price data for the last 3 months, that's a big old space in between here. let me continue. Remember, whoa, there's an ugly gap on Delta Yankee. That is a breakout failure. And it had earnings, so the bulls, took that risk. But that is, that's a breakout failure. I mean, it was a bullish close. Remember Apple yesterday? Some of you got some nice day trade shorts. It's still weak, still weak. Hey, Jake, I know you read that tasty cherry, whatever the heck they call it. I took a glance at it this morning, and their recommendation is to buy a call debit spread on this. They're saying that, just because it fell too much, they think it's going to go back up. And Greg, do you want to buy this for directional? I think you got rocks in your head to swing trade this long. So it's a nasty breakdown with topping tails. Delta, you need a pullback. Khaled, I answered you already. You need a pullback. It's a gap breakout. Delta Yankee. Yeah, it's a big gap, and I don't trade in the first 5 minutes. Diamonds, spiders, Q's the weakest again. Our NVIDIA weak, very nice. NVIDIA. All right, snow. Yeah, it looks like that hit its 1R stop. IIPR, we sold puts yesterday. KSS, all our oil stocks are totally fine. Just glancing at opens here. Oh, SPI, this was another one where the puts were off the hook, and we bought this on Friday, and we unfortunately got out because we thought it had earnings yesterday. XOM, yeah, all of our oils are great. We might look to take some profits. I'll go through them later. Big C. Yeah, I mentioned yesterday, Tehran, your drop down. Somebody asked me about put spread on that yesterday, and I said, fine. December is a long way away, but I like your strikes. Sure. You know what? I don't have time to go through all the oils, but I'm just gonna send an alert out to, we're up huge. Maybe just take half. I'm gonna say under 5 minute low, take half profits.